Hello and welcome to the Turkish Grand Prix for the Course Formula 1 World Championship. It is round number, I have no clue, and I will start giving up on saying the round number. But we are in Turkey at the Antalya Autodrome for this Turkish Grand Prix. If we quickly look at the tyre compounds we'll be using today, we're using the super soft tyre, the softest in the 4 sets of tyres that we are able to choose from. And then we'll be using the medium tyre, which is the on the harder side, but it's sort of the middle ground where you have the super soft, soft, medium, and hard for people that have not seen this before, do not know tyre sets that could be available. So we're using the softest and the medium tyre. And now we will quickly look at the standings, just so that we know what the drivers are fighting for. So at the moment, the driver standings after the Singapore Grand Prix, you have Nassim Rula with a comfortable 40-ish point lead from Victor Bernat in second, who is 1 point ahead of Timo Nathaniel. So that fight for second is very, very close, and even third. And you have Timo Nathaniel in third with 65 points. Kamishov in fourth with 62 points. Max Romer has 48 points in fifth. And Diowski is on 46 points. Soul is on 41 points. And Ziglio is on 40 points for Baguette Racing. If we go to the team championships, the over the limit team have 24 points. And 4 numbers. 4 plus 3 is 7. So 7. Good maths. 7 points behind is the Bijawi Racing team with Bijawi Racing Honda with 117 points. Baguette Racing in third with 102 points. Quail Racing 30 points off them. So I think the fight for the championship is between the top 3 of Over the Limit, Bijawi Racing and Baguette Racing. And I think it'd be a fight for fourth is Quail Racing and Extame Racing, and then best of the rest. This is what it's looking like with how there's sort of 20 points between top 3, and there's a 30-point gap to fourth, and then there's like another 30 points to sixth. But anyway, Europroton with 41 points, Lead Paul Racing with 28 points, Minty Fresh Racing in P8 with 21 points, P9 is Breaking Point Racing, the sister team to Over the Limit with 15 points, and Lamborghini Tech, I believe that is, or Lamborghini Racing with 7 points this season. And now we will jump to the on-track action as we watch Dan Johnson for Europroton coming round the final corner. I believe that was. I'm not quite sure on this track yet. Yeah. The suspension of Jeremy Guth as he comes through that corner. I haven't driven. I did 2 laps maybe just now, and I did not get a feel for the track. With the base setup, this is a track you definitely need to create a good setup for to deal with high speed corners, because the base setup for this car does not deal with this track well in any way, shape or form. So I think with practice I could get to enjoy this track, but at the moment it's high speed, but it's not quite full throttle, which is just a little bit difficult to get used to. 119s is what we're looking at the moment for our fastest pace. If we look at gaps, there we are. A 119.4 is the fastest time so far. Looking at the action on track, we're down all the way to the 118s now. The 189 from Team Antalya as the drivers are heating up their super soft tyre compound and finding their way with this setup and with the track itself. Finding more and more time and more grip in areas that most people probably wouldn't think to find grip in. But team on a slow lap there. Jeremy Guth on not quite as slow a lap, I believe. Looking a little bit faster than what Timo's was just there. Yes, flying through. Sharp left-hander there. Sounded like... Oh, a little bit wide on the curb. Caught the grass and is now spinning into the gravel trap. That wasn't good. It was not good there. So at the minute we have... what, 28 point gap? 38 point gap between... There's 38. 38 point gap between Bernat and Nassim at the minute. Nassim is not racing tonight, and at least looking at the timings at the minute, neither is Bernat, so Timo can close his 39 point gap. And Kamishov is racing as well, so he can close his 42 point gap. Somewhere in the 40s. Kamishov win this race will put him second. Timo win this race will put him second. Timo scoring points this race will get him second. And Kamishov getting anything better than about 8th will get him to second if Timo doesn't score. And if Timo does score, it will put him third, but not losing 2 places. Max Romer is also racing, but he is 19 points, 18 points off of Bernat, so he'd need a second place or a win to hop those guys without them scoring points. So Bernat could be losing a lot today, but you'd need some crazy thing of like Dialski winning. Well, Dialski winning isn't too crazy, but like Romer second, you need an exact order of like Dialski, Romer, and then Timo and Kamishov to drop him down 4 places. And then Daniel Sol, I mean, no. There's not enough points to hand out to put all 3 of them up. Oh my, that's a funny way to hold the steering wheel there. From Jeremy Guth as he spins into the gravel trap again, I believe. And for anyone that wants to know more about the Assetto Corsa Formula 1 Community League, we have a Assetto Corsa IndyCar League where you can see myself driving for Bijawi Racing, and in the near future we'll have not near future, next year, next Assetto Corsa Formula 1 season, there will be an Assetto Corsa Formula 2 where I'm driving for what's it called? I think it's Rockstar Force Tunisia. That's who I'm racing for. And you can get to see where I deserve to commentate by showing my amazing racing skill. Anyway, 1.5 seconds off of the fastest lap time at the minute is Tuti or Tutui for the a Quail Racing team. And the top 3 split by almost 0.3 of a second. The top 2 split by less than 1/10. As Timo there is slowing for a driver to let him past. See 2 stars in the rear wings for the 2 Constructors Championships they have won. As we watch Max Romer on a flying lap, I believe. Nope, on a warm-up lap. He's about to go onto a flyer, or he's about to come into the pits. One of the two. He is on a flying lap. He's keeping to the right, meaning he's about to absolutely cahoon it. There's a driver stopped on the side of the track there. This is not very safe. The FIA will be having a look at that. No, they won't. It's practice. Denis Ferreira with the Sebastian Vettel inspired helmet, I want to say. Recognise it's something Sebastian Vettel has driven in his, especially his Ferrari days. I'm not sure on how different his helmets were through the Aston Martin days. Can't have been too dissimilar. Oh, this one. Max Romer pushing to try and beat that 1:18.669 of Dialski. Dan Johnson slows because he watched from his front wing to let a Fortunizia car there of Jim Guth through, who is on a flyer. You can see Max Romer super soft at the minute does beat that time of Dialski by 0.6 of a second. Our fastest time going from a 1:18.669 to a 1:18.010. Now, only the top 4 are within the 1 second to the fastest lap time, which could be a practice difference. It could be a skill level the track needs, where it's like you could be fast and a certain level of commitment or skill you need to hit that extra level that finds you tons of time. Because there are some tracks like that in the world, sort of high speed tracks, where it's like, if you keep the foot planted, you'll get very close to crashing, but you'll be tenths faster. Which just does feel like it's quite a medium to high speed high speed track with a few low speeds, where that could be where some drivers are losing a lot of time. And that left-hander from that angle we saw looked a lot tighter. Ooh, Jeremy Guth getting on the curb. The car is unsettled a little bit, but with 3 minutes of this practice session to go, Max Romer is the fastest. Dialski and Kamishov are both on race runs, I want to say, running the medium tyre to see how the grip difference is. Timo Nathaniel, who I believe was on the super soft tyre for that run, is 9/10 of a second off, and then 1.5 seconds is to P5 Albrecht. P6 is Jeremy Guth, P7 is Daniel Soul, P8 is Tuti, P9 is Ferreira, and P10 is Venlin Uzunov. My old commentating buddy-o, who is stopped on track at the minute and is not anymore. He's now returned to pit lane. So with 7 drivers on track, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7 drivers on track. A definite championship contender of Dmitry Kamishov if he can get the points he needs in whilst Nassim has taken a week off. Let's see if Daniel Soul can beat his time he has set. He's on a lap, I believe. That's what the computer's telling me. Computer says no. Or says, look at the tree top of the camera there. I'm paying more attention to little things. A little bit yellow on the thing has caught my attention. I wonder what that says. Albrecht now for Minty Fresh and Mugen. Honda, to get the entire name through. Honda engine in the back of the car, the same one that's powering the Bijou Racing, and same engine that's powering all of these cars, the V12, I believe. Oh, content managers, get that out of the way. But let me double check the statistics for this car. That's not the thing. In there it is. RSS 2013, powered by a V8, producing 770 brake horsepower, weighing about 640 kilograms, including the driver. So car alone is somewhere in the 500 kilogram range, 560, 570 probably. 560, 550, somewhere there. But ooh, that is a minty fresh car, Ferreira, getting a little bit sideways probably and bouncing out onto the grass. And that is the end of practice. God, quick old session that was. Definitely quick. But as we look to the timing boards, that is scattered with yellow at the top with both. Ooh, as Daniel Soul spins into the wall after making a mistake and clipping the grass on the exit of the curb. Anyway, as we look to the top of the timings, for now at least, unless the driver goes faster, is yellow at the top of the timing boards with Bijou Racing's Max Romer P1 and Team Nathaniel P2. Dowski for It's Dame Racing. Ooh, as Diego Betterini takes a little detour into the gravel trap. Oh, as Albrecht actually goes fastest there. So it's a minty fresh at the top with a 117.8 from the minty fresh driver. And then yellow for P2 and 3 of the Bishowy Racing. Dowski in 4th, Kamishov in 5th, Jeremy Guth, who is all up at the minute. Guth, who is entering the pit lane in 6th, and then a driver who's already finished, Ferreira, is coming out of pit lane. I'm just going to pull over. Van Uzanov is not in the session at the minute. It says he is on track. There isn't anything said from him about this. So three of the 10 drivers are in their voice chat. Oh, there's 14 drivers. 3 of the 14 drivers are in their voice chat, as they should be. I'm not sure why most drivers decide not to be in their Discord while racing, but oh well. 14 drivers racing today. Then did not enjoy the track, and so says that he gave up, and it's not in the session anymore. Didn't quite sure when he left, but if I were to watch the stream, I probably would have noticed him leaving. If I go back to the stream, I would notice him leaving. 5 minutes to go. Oh, as we're now not into qualifying, I heard a car leaving the pit lane, which made me think, hey, qualifying, nope. We still have 1 minute 40 of wait time until qualifying starts, but the Baguette racing car, which is a lovely livery, must I say, the Baguette racing car of Dmitry Kamyshev, I believe that's the only car, is out of pit lane doing his own practice laps. As qualifying starts, we have Denis Ferreira pulling out as second car on track, as both Minty Fresh drivers are out as fast as possible to try and get the clean air on track, but not quite the most grip, as the track will evolve through the session, so that the grip we have at the minute is not quite the grip we'll have at the very end of the session. We're watching Besserini in the Senna helmet, like the Senna inspired helmet, taking the final corner taking the first corner to start his qualifying lap. Turn 2, very nice. I don't quite know this track, so I don't know where you're looking to brake, but I can definitely tell you if corner looks like it's been taken nicely or not. No, then the oversteer, understeer, missing an apex. You can see the apex in the corner. Very good, lots of curb usage there. The curves are very wide at most tracks because of how It says course Formula 1 run there. Track skins, so ooh, okay, that didn't look as bad as it thought it was. Like he'd taken too much curve and spun it a little bit. But no smoke, and the car's still going straight as he pushes down the back straight now. The long left-hander into a sharp left-hander, which could be a good overtaking if you can keep it around the outside of that right-hander and have the inside for the, or keep the on the outside of the left-hander and keep it good to the inside of that right-hander. But qualifying now is a little bit of a lock-up for Albrecht coming through that final corner, but to the line it's a 118.4, which definitely will be beaten, I think, by the end of the session with ease, because the fastest lap of the last session was a 117.9 set by Albrecht himself. Dmitry Kamishov throwing his car around this track, a driver who is very fast. Oh, very, very fast there. Down to the line. Kamishov only goes second with Max Romer sitting on 117.8, who is on provisional pole at the minute, but Denis Ferreira, who I believe is on a flying lap, is coming up to the line now to set a 119.7 to put himself 7th. Very distracted by my friend Justin. Jetting getting on. As we are now watching Jeremy Guth in the Force 2 Nizia car, it was going to be Cut the Crafter in the overdrive car, which I don't believe I've seen an overdrive car in a while. So I haven't noticed them. Daniel Searle now in the Euro Proton car. Oh, a little bit too much curve, and that's what I thought we were going to see earlier. Spinning, locking up all the tyres, getting onto the grass there. Car did not like that at all. It's just finding the setup that can deal with it. Jeremy Guth is taking a little bit of a track excursion there, not quite on the grey part. He's on the inside of a corner, which definitely isn't good, especially not when you're trying to turn and probably on hot tyres after spinning. Max Romer at the moment is stopped and returned to pit lane. Our pole position at the minute. And to Tutui in P2 at the minute is only 4/10 off him, so an 18-1 and 18-0, somewhere in that range. Kamishov puts himself second with a 118.1.6. We just have to see if anyone can best that with 12 minutes of the qualifying session left to go. If the session were to end where it is now, you'd have Max Romer P1 at the front of the row, and next to him would be Kamishov, also on the front row. Our second row would be Tutui and Albrecht. Our third row would be Timo Nathaniel and Betterini, as the minty fresh car gets a little bit sideways there through a long left-hander. Ooh, Jeremy Guth getting a little bit unstable on the curve there. Timo looking calm and composed as ever. One of the fast drivers in this league. He's a world champion. He's a champion in this competition before, in the 2009 Williams. No, not sure what car he used before that, but car earlier than 2009 Williams. And then you had Samuel Ivanov, who won in the 2009 Williams, and now the 2013 Red Bull. We have Nassim at the minute, who is very fast and not racing today. Nassim is in control of the championship by almost 40 points. As Jeremy Guth goes 10th with a 190. Oh, that was very dangerous from him. Slamming on the brakes and spinning onto the racing line. There was a Europroton car coming down the straight, which he could have hit. And there's Pietro Lunghi on lap. Cadillac Crafter, driver I don't believe I've seen for a while, in the overdrive car. And down the back straight. On his lap. Nice right-hander there. I think after this I'll get my own racing rig out and maybe do Brands Hatch in the Superform. That's a track I'm well adept with. As now we watch Pietro Lunghi coming down to the line. Can he get better than his time at the minute? Not quite. I believe he improved, but not enough to... He did improve. He improved, but he didn't improve enough to find a position. Still P13 for him, as Alexander Dowski comes through the middle sector down to a long left-hander now. This lap time could be looking, could not be. I can't see a delta, but he's 1.2 seconds off of pole. Can he get any closer than that? Maybe closer to the front of the grid. Can he improve on his P8 with 8 minutes of this session left to go? Bringing the car wide on exit there to bring as much speed as he crosses the line. So that's a 118.1, putting himself P4. As we look to the front of the grid now, we've got Max Romer and Lasse Albrecht for P1 and 2, 200ths separating them, almost 300 separating them, but still barely any time. Dmitry Kamishov now 4/10 off in P3, and Dowski a full 4/10 off in P4. Very close between those two drivers there. As Danny Tutui is coming through the final corner now. He's starting or maybe finishing a lap, I'm not quite sure. Ferreira leaves the session from P11. Tutti goes third with a 117.802, putting himself very close to those top three. There's 0.02 between second and third, and 0.03 covering the top three. So it's gonna be a very close, very good race for 3 or maybe even 4 drivers if the race pace is closer. As Albrecht improves his time significantly by about 0.2 of a second to now be 1.7 tenths away from Max Romair and a full 2 tenths away from Danny Tutui. The top 7 covered by 1 second. Can we see drivers just outside of that 1 second mark to pole position, maybe improve their times and get within 1 second of it? Just so we can see maybe a good race if they did the race paces as close as the quali paces. Top 3 all in the pit lane, but 4th down to 10th, all on track at the minute, trying to improve their lap times, maybe improving slightly by getting a slipstream off of the driver ahead of him, which Cadillac Crafter with Timo Nathaniel just ahead of him, going into the long right-hander. Timo does get out of the way and spins after getting a little bit of grass there probably. But he is not on a flyer, so shouldn't be too bad. Daniel Sol goes past and Timo continues to start a lap. 6 minutes of the session to go, and every single driver is on track on the super soft compound, our qualifying tyre. As Cadillac Crafter, an 18.4, putting himself 6th, and Jeremy Guth going the wrong direction, or the correct direction at the wrong angle, going sideways down the track. And Betterini now coming up to the back of a minty fresh car, which could have given him a little bit of dirty air, maybe a little bit of traffic. Michu Kamashov, a very fast driver, who is 4th in the standings at the minute and 4th in the qualifying standings for this race. And now we watch Dowski, who's also on a flying lap. Very fast. The way these drivers are set up the car is very pointy. You can see minimal steering angle, but still a lot of rotation from the car. It's very good to see. It's how you set up a fast car, because you aren't scrubbing the tyres as much as you would be if you had to turn a lot in an understeery car. That's why you want a little bit more oversteer in the car, so that you aren't scrubbing the tyres, which would wear them. But it might be worse on the rear tyres as they're working harder to keep going forwards. As Dowski crosses the line and goes 2nd with a 1:17.759. Only about 100th between him and Max Romair in P3. The times are dropping, and so are the drivers that were at the front. Kamashov now in 5th. Danny Tutui, takes a little bit too much curve and gets the car sideways. Tries to lock the brakes and doesn't quite, and now it's on the grass. Sliding, he would be returned to pit lane to try and get 1 or 2 more flying laps in before the end of the session. Albrecht, who is already on pole, is doing a lap at the minute to try and improve that time. And we'll just have to see how that goes. Albrecht, getting a little bit too much curb or something, maybe about that corner. And how it's cambered, caught him out slightly, and he has slid through and not been able to continue. He's now returned to pit lane. Max Romair in P3 is trying to improve his 1:17.7 that has him P3 at the minute, trying to get himself onto the front row, even on pole position. Cadillac Crafter a little bit sideways, maybe. As he's trying to improve his P6 at the minute. Jeremy Guth now 2 seconds off of pole position. Can he improve that time anymore? Time is definitely there on the track and in the car, but will he be able to extract that time is something that we'll have to wait and see. As he comes to the middle sector where he's coming down the back straight now. And your top 4 is Albrecht, Dowski, Max Romer, and Danny Tutui. Minute as we watch Jeremy Guth try to improve that lap time any more to put him into the top 10. Maybe stretch it to the top 9, being within a second of pole. Crosses the line. He does improve and goes 9th, but I do not believe he is within. He's not quite within a second, but the top 8 will be within a second. Jeremy Guth going 9th. Stephen Coverza there crossing the line, setting a 21.9, improving his time, but not quite by enough to improve his position. He'd have to set 120.5 to 120.4 to gain any position, really. To gain up to 13th, beating out Pietro Lunghi, but we'll have to see Daniel Soul at the minute. With a 19.2. Pushing all the way to the line to finish a lap time. Daniel Soul with an 18.5, beating Jeremy Guth again. Keeping Jeremy Guth in the top 10, but pushing him down to 10th position. Stephen Coverza now down the back straight on a flying lap. Can he improve his time? Have to see. Maybe he just made a few mistakes on those 4.3 seconds slower than pole position lap times. Down to the final corner now. Can he get into the top 10? We'll have to see. To the point where he could be able to score points, and he does not improve. He does improve in that lap. 21.73. Doesn't improve. No, I didn't think so. Well, not by enough to gain position. As Max Romer in P3 is coming through the final section of corners now, following his teammate getting a little bit of a slipstream there, maybe. No, just teammate getting in the way of him as he comes through the final corner now. Presumably he's starting a lap. So having to deal with traffic like that at the end of a lap would have been very annoying as he crosses the line, and he does improve. So he was on a lap and he goes second with a 117.661, and now is giving the Timo a slipstream down into turn 1, which could help Timo with top speed and improve his lap time very slightly. But Timo now trying to put himself into the top 5, is on a lap. Our only world champion on the grid. Ooh, a little bit of a lock up, and that felt a little bit wide from him. Yeah, you can see getting on throttle and spin the wheels up a little bit in frustration. And Lasse Albrecht locking the tyres for rotation, but not quite the fastest way, probably, as Albrecht comes through. Fast left-hander, will he spin it? Yes, the car does slide a little bit as the car compresses up the hill very suddenly, but Albrecht at the minute is on pole, but Dowski is on a lap. Where is Alexander Dowski? There he is, coming down the main straight. Could he ruin the Minty Fresh Mugen Honda team's day by taking pole position from them? We'll just have to wait and see. Through the penultimate corner he comes now, down to the final corner to set the fastest lap of the session. Possibly have to find a 10th and a half though over that. As he comes down to the line, he crosses it and he goes pole, 117.577. The top 3 split by less than a 10th of a second. The top 2 split by 200th of a second. Can Dennis Ferreira, can he get a faster time? No, he can't, because he's going into pit lane, and that is the end of this session. Cadillac Crafter has already crossed the line after the checkered flag, and he's going to come bring himself back to pit lane now. But the top 3 all within a 10th of a second. 3 drivers that I wouldn't expect to be up there. I'd expect sort of the Bijou Racing team to take the fastest laps with ease, as we have a lot of fast drivers, and even Kamishov, I'd expect him to be a lot higher up and a lot faster. But Dowski and that It's Staying racing car have found a lot of pace, and they're now on pole position for today's race. Second place is a Minty Fresh car of someone. If Minty Fresh win this race, they would gain 2 positions. As long as Europroton didn't score too many more points, they would move up 2 positions into P6 in the championship. If It's Them Racing win, they'll only beat out a Quail Racing in P4. With 3 minutes left until the start of this 300 kilometer, I want to say. I'm not sure how long the race is today. 32 lap race, there we are. 150 kilometer lap race. We're having to wait and see how the start of this race would go, with a handful of drivers I'm not used to seeing. One minute 40 to go until we get to some amazing racing. .50 seconds until the race starts. One minute to the start of the race now, as we look from our pole position driver of Alexander Dajowski, P1, looking back to the 34 with Will's profile picture on the front wing of a Albrecht. Now P3 of Max Romer, looking back onto P4 of Danny Tatui. P5 is Cadillac Crafter, and P6 is where our one-time world champion of Timo Nathaniel sits for this race. As to 6 lights. We watch Alexander Dowski off the line. Oh, very good off the line, very fast. We see an op-off view now to see how everyone else is doing. Down into turn 1. Dowski keeps the lead, but does anything happen behind? Yes, Kamishov, Roma. Cadillac Crafter has lost a lot of positions at that start. He's probably spun somewhere. Cadillac Crafter, yeah, at turn 2, Cadillac Crafter is off the track. Albrecht, our P2 for this race, is fallen, and our P3 of Danny Tatui has also fallen down into 12th and 13th. Not a very good start for them, but Kamishov and Max Romer have had a great start. Max Romer holding position in P3, and Kamishov making his way up from somewhere very low down. I wasn't actually paying attention to where he was, but on that start, Kamishov has already made up 5 positions. Denis Ferreira is already up 3. Johnson is up 4. Conversa is up 4. Lungi is up 1. Cadillac Crafter and Tatui are both already down 9. And Albrecht from P2 is down 10 positions. Strong start from some drivers and very unfortunate start for our P2 and P3 there. P2 and P3? P2 and P4 there of Danny Tatui and Albrecht. But P11 Conversa making a move on Pietro Lunghi down the main straight into turn 1. Will he try and get a switch back? No, because it's a little chicane, but all the way through here he's keeping his car very, very close. As we look, no one's made a stop yet. Everyone's on 1 lap old tyres. Cadillac Crafter is stopped on the side of the track, and I believe he's probably going to retire from the session, as he's already a lap down now. Daniel Soul struggling a little bit there, it seems, taking a little bit of a track excursion and losing a lot of positions there. At the moment, our running order after almost 2 laps of this race is Dowski still in first position for It's Dame Racing, Dmitry Kamishov for Baguette Racing in P2, Max Romer in P3 for Bijawi, Timo in P5 for Bijawi, and the Breaking Point Racing have Betterini in P4. As 1:19, I believe, is the fastest lap of this race so far. Yeah, Dmitry Kamishov, he's going to close that gap very quickly. No drivers even close. I think I saw a 20 from Dowski. And yeah, so the pace of the drivers is something to be desired. 25's race pace and 1:19 race pace for Kamishov, but he's running the super soft tyre, so he can make his way up the grid very quickly, but then have to make an earlier pit stop than Dowski on the medium tyre. But what we have seen with these races is that the tyres last about the same, and it's just that the soft super soft tyre falls off more when it gets to the end compared to the medium tyre. Because, as Kamishov gets a little bit too much grass and spins out of P2, almost into the wall, keeping it just out of the wall, but he loses 1 position and almost loses 2 to the Breaking Point Racing car. So whatever charge Kamishov had there, he was very close to the rear, but he got a little bit too much grass, a little bit too wide on the curb there, and is no longer in P2, having to go very wide in the final corner and losing a position, now out podium positions, but we're only on the 4th lap of this race. We'll have to see. Danny Tatui. Our 2nd place driver is now disconnected. Our 4th place driver is disconnected after not having the most lucky of starts. Conversa. What's up with him? He's lost a lot of positions there. Is that just a top speed thing, or is that a problem? Presuming that's just a big mistake. As we watch Dan Johnson racing for Euro Proton there. He's keeping the car going forwards, and he's in P7 at the minute in the 64 car. That's why I can't race 64 in ACF1. Kamishov makes his way back up into P3 through a very fast left-hander there. So this anti-clockwise circuit has a lot of left-handers that will be very tough on those outside right-hand tyres, especially that front tyre as it's pushing itself through these flat out or almost flat out corners. It's just being pushed out as far as it can go, so that shouldn't take too long to heat up. But that inside tyre might take a little bit longer. And 19.7 is our 19.5 is our fastest lap from Dayowski, who is now pulling away from Kamishov and the rest of the grid a little bit, with now a 3-second margin to Max Romair in P2, but Kamishov should be closing up on a Max Romair on those medium tyres, unless his soft tyres. Ooh, Betterini has had a mare somewhere. Where has he stopped? Ooh, he's stopped on the exit of turn 2. Watch out. Ooh, there's a car coming through there. Jeremy Guth. In P6 now. After a little bit of a way off the track. Max Romair is just making his way around. For the IndyCar race, I'm actually going to try and run. Next week there is an IndyCar race. If you go watch on the German channel, probably the day after. So if you look at about Saturday and definitely on Sunday, there should be an IndyCar race in German if you would like to watch that for the Las Vegas 150, which is 150 miles of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which is an oval. What? Yes, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which is an oval. So, if you enjoyed to watch a little bit of IndyCar racing or oval racing, or you just want to see this man's talking over my racing every single weekend. Oh, there's a little bit of tap for Albrecht there, putting him a little bit lower than he already was from not his teammate. Surely not his teammate. I think that was Jeremy Guth there. Definitely wasn't Euro Proton. Probably Guth is what my memory's telling me. Cars in this midfield are getting very close and scrapping a little bit. Anyway, as I was saying, if you want to see what skills I have in the oval world and in the racing world, to see what I can actually do in a car, then go and watch that. You'll see me pop up every so often if I'm fast enough to the front. You're looking for an Ethan Mills. He's a little bit slow, but he can drive a car. Anyway, I was going to say, I'm going to try telemetry to see how slow I actually am. As Pietro Lunghi disconnects, and that's 3 drivers retired from this race. One more and every driver will have scored points, as Timo is in the pit lane making his first stop. If I actually jump, because I feel like I saw a couple of drivers making stops earlier, but Ferreira at the moment is our highest gaining driver in P5. In P4 now with 7 positions gained. But if Kamishov can get to the front, he'll have 6 positions gained. If we go to pit stops real quick, everyone from P9 down has made a pit stop, either through returning to pit lane and retiring, or making a pit stop on their own bet. Diego Betterini, I believe this is his second stop. That'll be his second stop, I think. Tyre age for Johnson and Timo, they definitely aren't, because Timo's just come out of pit lane. As Dan Johnson are getting a little bit wide there. Is he going to just continue going on his own? He is on his lonesome on the leaderboards there for a sec. Ooh, he's not quite liking this car now, is he? He's getting a little bit too wide, getting on the grass, and the car does not want to keep on going forward, especially with these probably very overheated tyres that he has on the car now. It's not going to be something the car is going to enjoy, and neither is he going to enjoy in driving until he calms it down a little bit and lets the tyres cool off. And Daniel Sol taking it easy, slowing it down a little bit. Whilst Jeremy Guth is ahead of him. But we are 8 laps into this 32 lap race. And 9 laps, I believe now. Nope, 8 laps as Alexander Dowski has pulled a decent gap of 4 seconds to the rest of the grid. But the front 3 have definitely run away with this race now. Dowski, Roma and Kamishov all within about 5.5-6 seconds of each other. But 4th place is 30 seconds off of the first position, so I think it's a clean fight to the end now of who's going to get the podium, as long as nothing too big happens and there aren't any pit stop mishaps. And I think our top 3 is looking like Dowski, Roma and Kamishov. The order in which that will be, I could not tell you and would not have an idea of. But Dowski Kamishov is in pit lane at the minute after changing off of his soft tyres. He's entering his pit box now. He's right behind the 2 safety and medical car. As Denis Ferreira continues on his set of medium tyres, but that super soft tyre on Kamishov's car he was not quite enjoying. He's now going to exit just ahead of Ferreira, so that 25-second buffer he had was just about enough to put him ahead. And now it's time to heat up and take those medium tyres quite far into the race. Probably not to the end, but quite far in. We'll have to see when the medium runners pit. And Stephen Coverza is off the track there at turn 2. We'll have to see when the medium runners of everyone apart from Johnson at the minute, when those drivers that started on the mediums, when they pit, is when we're going to see those early stops from the super soft runners really kick in, and that will help us get an idea of when those super soft runners would jump onto a second set of super softs. Oh, as Albrecht is off and spinning as he's as Timo trying to avoid him. That's not Timo, that is Timo. Timo trying to avoid him has just ended up on the grass with a bit of a collision there. The Timo is stopped now. Has he got damage? He's got lots of damage, or is he just going to continue? As Albrecht has put his car into reverse, and Timo is stopped on the side of the track and he's not going. What's going on here? Is he having to wait for him, or is he... Timo still isn't going. Is that it for him? So he picked up some bad suspension damage, isn't able to continue. But Albrecht is also stopped. Both drivers stopped on track and waiting for the other, maybe? Timo isn't moving still. That's something I want to watch. What's up with Timo? He's returned to pit lane, which means that is the end of his race. Sad to see. He probably picked up some quite bad suspension damage, which stopped him. Cadillac Crafter saying the mood at the minute is a broken front wing, broken rear wing, and a broken engine. And that's how his race ended. And we'll see something from Timo in a bit. But for now, Albrecht and Johnson all down to P9 are a lap down at the minute, and Betterini in P8 probably isn't far off that. As we look to gaps now between each car, there's a 6-second gap between Dowski and Romer, the 2 front runners, and 25 seconds to Romer. Is that his driver stopped? Who was that stopped? Is Albrecht in pit lane for a reason, or is he just returned to pit lane then? So I saw a driver pull out to the end of the pit lane and then stop. So let me actually open up my in-game chat quick to see what's going on. So I'm confused if P-Tracker messages. Nope, can't find it. It's in the middle of my screen now. But anyway, Dialski is now into the pit lane. A pole sitter who has just lost the lead of this race. And can he keep P2 though? I think he can safely stay on the podium, but can he hold P2? Chat, there we are. Alexander Dialski has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding in pit lane. Ooh, that's going to ruin his race. That is not going to be very good for him. So close that quick. But Betterini and Dialski both have ignored drive-through penalties. No, Betterini has an ignored drive-through penalty because you have 3 laps to serve it, and Dialski has a drive-through penalty that he will have to serve, or else he will as we'll leave the chat up to see if any penalties do appear or if drivers are pitting. Betterini presumably is stopping, and he's not going to continue with this race. He didn't serve his drive-through. Timo is stopped on not stopped. Yes, anyway, Max Romer at the minute is leading the race. Alexander Dialski is in P2, 21 seconds off of pole. The win, first place. 2 seconds behind him is Kamishov, but the gap is opening up slightly. As Dan Johnson and Daniel Soul both pit. Daniel Soul fills up his car with 25 litres of fuel, so he can make it presumably to the end. Will that give you 10 laps of fuel? That sounds about right. 2.5 litres a lap doesn't sound too far off. I'll just take him. He's already said it. As you can see, drivers discussing with the stewards about penalties they've incurred. Betterini is driving, and he is still messaging the stewards. And Max Romer is now a second off of Kamishov in front, and Kamishov is just over a second off of Dialski. So our front three are very close. They're a lot closer than they were to the backlot before, but I think we're on about lap 15 now, so probably about lap 20, lap 25 is when we're going to see stops from the medium runners. Stops from medium runners, Supersoft runners that started on Supersofts and moved to the medium tyres. We'll see them jumping onto presumably a fresh set of Supersofts to finish the race with a lot of pace. Oh, it's Dan Johnson is stopped on the side of the track there after getting a little bit sideways and going off. Oh, and his hot tyres and a little bit too enthusiastic on the throttle. He's fine, he's just making sure there isn't anyone too nearby that he'll affect by going with that. And the other Europroton car is spun. Yes, Dialski now serving his drive-through penalty, which is going to completely ruin his race, putting him fourth now with a giant gap to the front three. Only 3 seconds, but 3 seconds to Ferreira in third, but it's can he get back up to the front will definitely be a struggle. Maybe we'll see a Lewis Hamilton moment where after being given a penalty he will completely knuckle down and do insane quali pace throughout this race. But I'll leave check closed now, as penalties are not the main interest of racing. It's the actual action on track. As Stephen Coverzis had a little bit of a moment, is that? He is back going now with Dan Johnson just behind him on track, but a lap down in the grand scheme of things. Daniel Searle has had a spin at the final quarter. But 119s from the front lot on the medium tyres is very interesting to see. 117s in qualifying, so 119 doesn't sound too far off. Fastest lap at the minute is, I believe, a 119.5 if I haven't missed any changes. But Dialski overtaking Ferreira now. If we could see that action on track, that'd be lovely. Thank you very much, Autocam. As Dialski's already pulled a second away from Ferreira now, so it's just closing that 17-second gap in the about 16 laps of this race. So we'd need to be going just over a second faster than Max Romeo just to catch him, let alone pass him. So we'd have to see maybe if he takes a shorter pit stop and runs the car a little bit lighter to the end and takes it a little bit more scarily. Just saying about drivers pissing. Coverza out of pit lane now in P7 on a set of super soft tyres, trying to take him 16 laps. Unless that, I don't believe that was his first stop of the race. If we look at progress at the minute, Kamishov has made up 6, Coverza has made up 7. We have 5 drivers not finishing this race. 2 of them haven't DNF'd yet, but they are no longer participating. Gaps. If we look at the gaps, you can see that Coverza is almost a lap down. Yes, you can see on the little map of where the drivers are. Kamishov is right behind him, as Dialski has a little bit of a lock up there, and we'll pay attention to the timings as I open up my server page so I can see last lap instead of just having to wait until they finish a lap. Boop, 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 boop. Server. What's the action on track? 21 seconds covers the front 3 and 1 minute covering the top 4. So it's a large gap between the drivers now. Alvarez and Timo are both not going to end up classified for this race anymore, being both 8 laps down, not participating. But Daniel Searle and Dan Johnson both a lap down now. Both Europroton cars struggling a little bit, but as long as they can finish this race, they can score points for the team, which will help them in... Where's Europroton fighting in the standings? Europroton fighting to hold P6, which would be very useful for the team. Not sure how, because the cars are all this sort of like a stock car, where all cars are the exact same apart from setup, and it's just the skin that changes between car, the livery. So at the moment, oh, it's a 119. It's not 119.2. So 119.2 is the fastest lap of the race. 15 laps to go. Alexander Dialski was 2 tenths faster than Max Romero on that last lap, and Dmitry Kamishov was on pace with the fastest lap, not quite beating it, but he was 15 hundredths off, so, or 15 thousandths off, so pretty close pace. A 1:19.1, Dajowski setting a new fastest lap of the race, going 0.6 faster than Max Romer, but that was a fast lap for everyone on track. Max Romer getting into the 1:19s there. So the pace of those front three is incredible. So if you look back, fourth and down, they're in the 2021s, 22s for fastest pace, and then consistent pace if we wait for them to get out of a point where they're in or out of pit lane. Denis Ferreira taking a penalty that he picked up. Oof, it's not good. But yeah, 24 there, 30s, 21, 23. And you look forward, you've got a 19.23. Very consistent from Dmitry Kamishov of 119.23. It was a 119.230 last lap and a 119.231. So he's keeping it very consistent. Driver Denis Ferreira is actually a driver that has done the fastest top speed in this race, presumably with a slipstring. But it could just be that he's running the lowest wing. But with how close some of them are, it's probably slight different. At the moment, if we look at the standings, everyone apart from the top four has been lapped, and Jeremy Guth is not far off being lapped. So, yeah, the front three were in a world of their own today, pace-wise. I wouldn't be surprised if we see sort of the top three all having lapped up to fourth. We look at where Dajowski is at the minute, and we look for where Jeremy Guth is at the minute. There's only a handful of corners separating them, sort of 5 or 6 at most. So it's definitely a possibility as Kamishov is in pit lane at the minute and Dajowski is now coming down the main straight, but probably will have to make one more pit stop. Has Dajowski has pit. Dajowski will need to make one more pit stop because I think he's done a medium super soft at the minute. Yes, because Dajowski started on the mediums, is now on the mediums still. So he needs to make one more stop just to make sure he... What was I going to say? The Jeremy Guth. There. Dajowski, there. Just to make sure that he doesn't get penalised for running only one set of tyre. And Max Romer, I think, also started on the medium tyre, so Romer and Dajowski both running very similar strategies, but Dajowski driving his car significantly harder and faster after picking up a penalty for speeding in pit lane. As Dajowski crosses the line to start his 22nd lap of this race. Oh. As Kamishov's now run both competitor tyre. So did you run the super softs for God knows how long? How many stops? Kamishov's made 2. So Dajowski's still to make 1 because one of his stops was I'm going to say it was a penalty, so he only made 1 true pit stop, but he has been through pit lane twice. Kamishov now is only 4, 6, How far is Kamashov off? It said 4, and now it's fallen off, so has he slowed down a lot? Doesn't look to be going as fast as he maybe should be. But if we put the autocam back on, we can see that Stephen Koverza is falling away a little bit from Denis Ferreira. And Ferreira is in the pit lane at the minute, making his second or third stop, I believe. Max Romaire is on the 23rd lap of this race. As is Dialski. There is Dialski's in pit lane at the minute, actually, making his second stop of the race, but allowing Kamashov past. And how far will he be off when it comes to the end of his pit lane? Still third, which is good because there's about a minute between him and the driver behind. But as Jeremy Guth comes through the final corner, we'll see that gap change a lot as Dowski was in pit lane. Ooh, that's Berrettini off of the track. And from 7th place, will he lose anything? We'll try not to put too much sort on spin the car. No, he won't. He won't lose too many positions. I'm not sure if he was 6th before making that error, possibly. No, just trying to drive the car a little bit easier because the tyres would definitely not have enjoyed that. Ooh, Koverza is just sliding out of turn 2 there. And is overtaken by Kamashov to be lapped. And Kamashov look at the gap. Romaire, Kamashov and Dowski will all be fighting very hard to get to the end of the race, or specifically probably to catch Jeremy Guth, just to get the top 3 all on the lead lap. And the rest of them, it's not a main aim, but it will definitely be there as something they'll be trying to do. Watch Koverza in P6 hunting down Denis Ferreira in the Minty Fresh Mugen car. Where is Ferreira? There he is. Oh, he's actually not too far up. But Koverza spinning the car around through turn 4. Ooh. Getting on the curb and tapping the wall a couple of times. Trying not to pull out into drivers and losing positions. Jeremy Guth makes his second pit stop of this race. Dropping down, not actually losing position yet, but we'll have to see with Guth. Now all apart from the top 3 are a lap down, and there's 30 seconds between the top 3, so I have to see how that goes. Dan Johnson now is 2 laps down. And he has overtaken Steven Coverza. Where is Coverza? Coverza just returned to pit lane because I think he was off track. So now only 8 drivers will be finishing this race. With Max Romer looking very lonely at the final corner of the track compared to Kamishov being only at the penultimate corner now. As Daniel Soul and P7, both Europroton cars, have made their way up from 10th and 9th to 8th and 7th. As Max Romer exits pit lane on a fresh set of super soft tyres to take himself to the end of the race with 5 laps to go. Dmitry Kamishov is leading. Dowski is driving his way through the pit lane, presumably to make a stop. Yep, stopping onto a fresh set of super soft tyres. He won't be losing any position, so it's just going to be hunt for fastest lap with how his gap is to the front drivers. The front 2 to be precise. As we watch now, our race leader of Dmitry Kamishov jump down to Daniel Soul as he exits pit lane on a set of medium tyre. Dowski pit onto the medium tyre from the super soft, so maybe he just doesn't quite enjoy racing the super soft tyres on high fuel, because this definitely won't be quality fuel, but it definitely won't be the lightest the cars have been. So maybe it's preference that you prefer to drive the super soft. With 4 laps of this race to go, we have Kamishov leading the race, 4 seconds behind him, Alexander, Max Romer, Alexander Dowski's in P3, 38 seconds off of the race lead, no, off of Dowski, 42 seconds off of the race lead. As Dowski has the fastest lap of a 119.010, which I never noticed him set. Max Romer has the second fastest lap time with a 119.026. Very close between those drivers. And we now have the weight of Dowski getting to the line to see if he can set a faster lap time. Where's Dowski on track? He's just crossing the line behind, ahead of someone. Betterini. Oh, Dan Johnson is off the track again. Lots of drivers not being able to keep their cars on the track. There's a 118.9 from Alexander Dowski as the fastest lap of the race. 1/10 faster than Max Romer. Max Romer crossing the line there to start his 30th lap of the race is Diego Besserini getting a little bit sideways. on the grass as 2 laps to go. Once Dajowski finishes this lap, so it'll be lap 31 and then the final lap 32. A 118.6 Dajowski is just setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Now he has found another gear in that car that isn't 7th. And he is at an amazing speed. These cars only have 7 gears, but whatever Dajowski's found is a lot faster. Closing his gap from 37 seconds. Always closing. Ooh. He is just pushing. 19.6 from both the front 2 drivers. Can Dajowski beat that? We'll have to see. As through the penultimate corner he goes, just there. Down to the final corner. Is he much faster? We'll have to see. He's closed by almost a second this lap. Could we see another 18.6 from him? Surely not. Dajowski comes to the line now. He crosses it and sets an 18.7. The pace this man has is something else. He definitely deserved to have won this race, but with that drive-through penalty, I think that is what stopped him from winning. Do notice that he isn't on the super soft tyre trying to set these fast laps. He's setting these fastest laps on the medium tyre. Maybe the super soft tyre won't last for long enough, putting in quality lap times. Because this is almost quality pace. It's about a second off, but still, almost quality pace. As Dajowski is just in a league of his own with this pace at the minute. As Kamishov is on the final laps, let's give him a watch on board, and we'll definitely watch Dajowski as he's coming to the end of his lap. As you're board, there we are. That's a nice little angle. As Dajowski is just coming to the final corner now. Ooh, a little bit of a lock up there for him. For Dmitry Kamishov as he comes through. There, you see, putting barely any steering on the car, and it's just turning. Whatever he's done with that car is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And then we'll have to jump to it's on Dajowski, who we will get a good portion of the track with, but Dajowski threw a long left-hander into the penultimate corner, braking about 75 meters at the beginning of the curbing on the left, taking himself down to the final corner now. Oof. Braking as late as he can, set laps as fast as possible. Down to the line now as Dmitry Kamishov of Baguette Racing wins the Turkish Grand Prix. And Max Romain in P2 coming through the final corner now. Crosses the line to take P2, and Dajowski setting alien pace on those medium tyres, which he picked up only about 4 laps from the end. Lap 28 he picked up a set of medium tyres instead of jumping onto the super soft tyre. But now Guth has finished the race to finish P4, Ferreira in P5, Betterini in P6. As the drivers are all crossing the line, Dan Johnson in P8 crosses the line to take points for Europroton. And the speed at which Alexander Dajowski was racing at was just something else. As I look for my mouse and look at Betterini now, see what he is up to. Coming through the final corner now. 2 more drivers to cross the line, and that will be the end of the race. Daniel Sol comes across the line to take P7, and 8 out of 14 drivers finish the race, so just over half the drivers. So we'll look to the standings now. Kamishov having won the race, Max Romer P2, and Alexander Dayowski in P3. If I quickly get Discord up. Yes, the Las Vegas Motor Speedways. We're racing next week. If you want to watch that, go to the German channel at some point. Go to the German channel Saturday, because the race is on Friday and we don't stream them for some reason. But waiting to see if and let's just at the 3 drivers that did incredibly well. Already forgotten them. Dmitry Kamishov. Who was second? Max Romer. Dayowski. Great race. I'll just do that quick to see if any of the drivers want to have an interview. Max Romer probably will. Hopefully will. I'm just quickly putting an at for the top 3. And we'll see where that takes us. Dayowski might also, because he's joined Europroton. It's an amazing race there. Amazing pace from Dayowski. Definitely had the pace to win that race. Give it a little bit of time, but I don't think... I'm not getting any messages. Oh, people are in. I'm deafened. Anyway, interviews now. Sorry, I didn't realise you guys had joined. I was deafened. Have we got the correct settings on? Yes. So how was that race for you guys? I can't hear you. Give me a second. There we are. I can hear you now. Sorry. Yeah, that was great pace from you, Alex. So, and 18s on the mediums. It's just something else. Yeah, you definitely. Hmm. Oh well, you definitely had the pace to win that race today. Mm. And you're closing almost a second a lap in those sort of like last 2-3 laps on Max. Mm. 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 Oof. Yeah. So that's some nice points for Bajari Racing, and really good points for Same Racing putting themselves fourth in the constructors now. And I think Timo didn't score points today, so I think he's dropped down a little bit in the drivers, but otherwise standings looking good for you guys both. And if Nassim like misses a couple more, you might be in the chance for the championship fight. Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations on P2 and P3. Without saying yourself, who would you say are your driver of the days? Who would you say is your driver of the day? Mm. Mm. Yeah, so congratulations to you both on getting the podium, and have a good evening. Thank you. It was a very, very interesting race, especially the start. A lot of fighting. Anyway, have a good evening. Bye. Let's just stop the stream in a second. That was... Sorry to everyone watching and people rewatching. I have just looked over to my OBS and realised that the audio coming from Discord isn't actually going into stream. So sorry, there was nothing there. They both said that they had a good race. I brought up Alex's pace, and then they're now going over some damage they picked up, and both said Dimitri was their driver of the day. So I'm just going to end stream there. Sorry, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.